What if I told you that in a post-NAR settlement, the secret to selling more and getting more listings and buyers isn't necessarily having more conversations, but it was better understanding human psychology? Hi, my name is Cody from Sheridan Street, and today I want to walk you through a framework that we share with our clients that has helped them double, triple, and quadruple their income in less than a year. And this framework is used by hundreds and hundreds of agents across North America, and we called it the PSWT framework. And today I was actually doing a training session with a large team that does a ton of volume. They do, hundreds of millions of dollars of volume in real estate every single year. And we chatted today in one of our private training sessions about how to get their agents to think about sales scripts differently. So yeah, I think one of the problems that a lot of agents have when they look at a script is they look at it as words on a page. And when you look at a script as words on a page and you don't understand the actual structure in which the words are put together, what ends up happening is you end up getting paralysis analysis, and you end up saying, I can never do this. And I was explaining to this team that I was coaching today that everything at the end of the day comes down to our belief patterns. And everything I'm going to explain to you today about doubling and tripling your income and changing the way that you speak, I'm going to give you a framework. But unless you believe that the framework actually works, you're not going to actually implement the framework in your real estate business. And this is why I have a fundamental belief that those that pay attention. Those that make the decision to actually join a coaching program and actually implement the systems and the processes are the ones that ultimately win. But there are a select few, and maybe you're that agent out there that is gathering information. You're on your information gathering journey. And I want to gift to you a framework to think about when you're talking with a buyer, when you're talking with a seller, when you're trying to set an appointment, you're doing a buyer consult, you're doing a listing presentation. I want to give you a framework today that will actually allow you to get more closings. And I call it the PSWT framework. So if we're just meeting for the first time, we run a sales training organization called the Trust Rapport Influence Sales Method, and we run a marketing agency called Sheridan Street. So if we're meeting for the very first time, I want to walk you through something really quickly we call the PSWT framework. Before we get to that, we have a fundamental belief here at Sheridan Street that all conversion happens in conversation. And the framework I'm going to give you is how to actually talk to a prospect in a way that you bring them into the conversation. But in order to do that, you need to know this framework. I'm going to walk you through it. So this framework is called the PSWT framework. So the P stands for problem. And I'm going to give you specific examples today about how to actually use this in a conversation. So inside of our buyer consult, so inside of our Trust Rapport Influence Sales Method, we have what we call the 7-figure buyer consultation framework. My business partner, Vikram Deol, has actually built a $250 million real estate business. So this isn't theory. We've been doing this stuff for a decade. When you're talking with a buyer, there's language that we use inside of the Trust Rapport Influence Sales Method called contracts and power players. So if I wanted to explain to a prospect that the real estate transactions governed by 3 agreements, the purchase agreement, the buyer agreement, and the seller agreement, I'm not just going to talk to the prospect. I'm actually going to talk in a framework. And I'm going to do something like this. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, Mr. or Mrs. Client, you know how you came to me and we chatted about X, Y, and Z thing that ultimately our goal is to get into the home we want with the price we want with the terms we want? Well, listen, a lot of times buyers come to us with that exact problem that you mentioned. They're not sure how to navigate the process and all the contracts that go into actually getting the home they want at the price they want with the terms they want, because they don't even understand the process. And what you would do is you would actually have a buyer agreement in front of you, you'd have a listing agreement in front of you, and you have a purchase agreement in front of you. And you put that purchase agreement in front of them, and we call it show flow demo, and you actually demo the process. But you start the conversation, you start the buyer consult conversation with the problem. Hey, clients come to us, and the reason that buyers in our area come to us is because they're not sure how to navigate the contracts and the power players that actually get them a home in today's market. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. So what you actually do is you go through this and you identify the problem that probably they're thinking in their head that like they're not sure how to navigate this process. That's what we call the problem. Now, the second step in the process that you're going to do is you're going to essentially give them the solution. Hey, the way that we solve for that for clients like you that want to get a home they want at the price they want with the terms they want is we actually do all the due diligence for you. And there's this little thing we call concessions. So what you do is you pull out the purchase agreement and you actually begin to write out where you would put the concessions. So maybe one of the concessions is around, financing. You explain to them. So it's really important for you, Mr. Buyer, that if you want to get the home you want at the price you want with the terms you want, that you understand that a concession is super important. So, and then what you do further to that is the W. So you explain to them the solution. The W is what's in it for them, because you got to tie it all back around. So it's great that you provide that solution, but what's actually in it for them? So essentially what you would do in here is you would explain to the prospect, you'd say, hey, so Mr. Buyer, Mr. Seller, what this actually means for you is that when we go to put an offer on a property, we're not going to potentially lose out on something we call earnest money, meaning and then you explain that process, and we actually protect you to make sure that and I know that you mentioned earlier that potentially you wanted to go right to the listing agent, but could you see potentially how going directly to the listing agent could actually harm you in this purchase agreement? Now you've actually made it real for them. And what I just did there in the T was a tie down question. Because if you don't tie them down and get them to sell themselves on why your solution is the best solution and why the contracts empower, and this is just one example. There are multiple slides that we have inside the buyer consult, but we teach and we present in a structured format. Can you see how differently this would work? If you had the ability to kind of go through that step by step and you were able to ask the buyers and the sellers that you're speaking with, and you were to say, hey, I guess having somebody in your corner that could actually, negotiate on your behalf, and also having somebody in your corner that could write up the concessions and the purchase agreement to get you the home you want at this price you want with the terms you want. I guess what would that mean to you personally? Or what specifically do you like about that process? These are called tie-down questions, because what you do is you always want to present the problem, present the solution, present the what's in it for them. That's the presentation portion. But then what you want to do is you want to create dialogue in the conversation. How you do that is with tie-downs. You ask the question let me ask you a question. What would that actually mean to you, for you, if you had somebody working on your behalf? They're going to give you an answer. You're going to ask a follow-up question. What would that mean for you now, though? And you're going to create a sense of urgency. So my question for you is what would that mean for you personally? And that's a tie down. This is a tie down in this video. But what would that mean for you personally if you knew exactly what to say in a buyer consult? You knew exactly the framework to install so that you were no longer winging it and you no longer had to go on 10 appointments to get one client. What if you had the opportunity to go on 10 appointments and get 4 clients? What would that do differently for your business? Everything in the context of appointment setting, in the context of your buyer consult, the context of your seller presentation, if you implement this framework, the problem, the solution, what's in it for them, and then you tie down, I'm telling you, you will make more sales. We work with hundreds of agents all across North America, helping them implement this process. If you're at all interested, you want to learn a little bit more about how to dig deeper into the PSWT framework, how to dig deeper into the buyer consult, the listing presentation, and how to set more appointments in a post-NAR settlement, post-pandemic market, go to SheridanStreet.io/Triz-game plan. I'm actually going to throw this up on the screen here so you can specifically know what to do in order to get more information about these frameworks that will actually help you double and triple your income. We have clients like Molly and Jan and Ryan and Daniel and Sal that are all doubling and tripling their income using structured frameworks that actually work with human psychology. So you're not talking to people, you're talking with people, because it's those that create the relationship. It's those that give the prospect an opportunity to sell themselves on why they should work with you, those are the clients that win in a post-NAR settlement, post-pandemic world. So I'm going to show you this really quickly, and then we're going to close out this video. So this is called a TRIZ game plan session, where we're going to show you and walk you through exactly the 3 things that top agents are doing in order to add an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, and even 5+ deals every single month. We work with clients all across North America. All you got to do is click the calendar, fill in a couple questions, and you get access to a game plan session with one of our team members. And the other thing that I'll mention as well here is we have a private training community called the TRIZ Sales Dojo, where we do training. There's a bunch of free training in the back end here. We have a top agent power pack. It's free sales training. We have a marketing power pack where I actually walk you through specifically how to get more support when it comes to sales and it comes to marketing. Hope you got a ton of value in today's video. Hope you can take the PSWT framework, implement that in your business, and see real financial results. We'll see you in the next video.